Do you ever feel like you're just a pinball, getting bounced around by daily stress? Like you're constantly reacting to a world that just won't play by your rules? You try to make plans, you try to stay positive, but then one unexpected meeting, one difficult person, or one traffic jam can throw your entire day into a tailspin. The ancient Stoics were all too familiar with this feeling, but they figured something out. The secret to a clear head and a strong will isn't about controlling the world around you, but about mastering the questions you ask yourself. In this video, we're diving into 10 life-altering Stoic questions that will shift your focus, give you back your power, and build unshakable strength for your everyday life. Okay, before we get to the questions, we have to lock down the single most important idea in all of Stoicism. It's the concept that changes everything, the one that Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius and former slave-turned-philosopher Epictetus built their entire worldviews around. It's called the dichotomy of control. The principle is as simple as it is profound. Some things are up to us and some things are not. According to the Stoics, the only things that are truly within our control are our own minds, our choices, our judgments, our reactions. Everything else, well, that's not in our control. This includes our bodies, our reputations, our bank accounts, and especially the actions of other people. So much of the anxiety and frustration we feel comes from one simple mistake. We pour all our energy into trying to control things we can't, while totally neglecting the one area where we have absolute power, our own inner world. Understanding this difference is the key that unlocks all the questions that follow. It's about shifting your energy from the external to the internal. Ready? Let's get into it. This is the ground zero of Stoicism, the first and most critical question you have to ask whenever you feel that spike of stress, anger, or worry. Before you lash out, before you spiral, just pause and ask, is this actually up to me? A flight delay, a downpour on your wedding day, what your boss thinks of you, the state of the economy, these are external events. You have zero control over them. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus taught that we don't suffer because of events themselves, but because of our judgments about them. Getting furious at the rain doesn't stop the rain. It just ruins your peace of mind. The real power move is to focus on your response, which you always control. You can't control the traffic jam, but you can control whether you rage about it. You can choose to listen to a podcast, call a friend, or just practice being patient. By asking this one question, you stop wasting precious energy on the unchangeable and redirect it to where it makes a difference, your own choices. Think about something that's stressing you out right now. Seriously, is it truly within your control? If the answer is no, what's one thing about your response that is? This next question introduces a powerful Stoic practice called premeditatio malorum, or the premeditation of evils. It sounds pretty grim, I know, but it's actually a secret weapon for building resilience and killing anxiety. The big names in Stoicism, from Seneca to Marcus Aurelius, use this all the time. Instead of just hoping for the best, you take a quiet moment to calmly and clearly visualize the worst-case scenario. What if you actually do lose your job? What if you totally bomb the presentation? What if you fail the exam? Then you do the most important part. You make a plan for how you'd handle it. You don't just wallow in the fear. You build a strategy for recovery. You quickly realize that even if the worst happens, you have resources. You could start looking for a new job. You could retake the class. You would, in fact, survive. This exercise does two things. First, it usually shows you that the worst case is nowhere near as terrifying as the vague fears in your head. Second, it makes you more confident, because you've already walked through the fire mentally and know you can handle the heat. As Seneca put it, if an evil has been pondered beforehand, the blow is gentle when it comes. What was the end game for a Stoic? It wasn't wealth, fame, or even comfort. It was living a life of virtue. They boiled it down to 4 cardinal virtues: wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance, or self-discipline. This question is a gut check to see if your actions are lining up with who you want to be. Think of it like this: wisdom. Am I seeing this clearly, or is my ego or fear clouding my judgment? Courage. Am I facing this challenge, or am I running from what I know is right? Justice. Am I being fair to others and myself? Am I doing the right thing for the community? Temperance. Am I acting with moderation, or are my impulses calling the shots? When you're about to fire off an angry text, ask yourself, is this wise? Is this just? When you're avoiding a tough but necessary conversation, ask, is this courageous? This question isn't about being a saint. It's a private course correction. It's your internal compass, helping you make sure your actions today build the person you'll be proud of tomorrow. There's a powerful idea from Epictetus that goes something like this: the uneducated person blames others for their own misfortune. The person starting their education blames themselves, but the fully educated person blames neither. This question is a direct challenge to the victim mindset. It is so easy to point fingers. My boss is why I'm miserable. My partner made me mad. The traffic is why I'm late. While other people and events are definitely factors, Stoicism demands that we take total ownership of our own reactions. Why? Because blaming others makes you powerless. It means your happiness is in someone else's hands, and good luck with that. When you hit a setback, instead of looking for a scapegoat, ask what part you played. Even if your role was tiny, focusing on it is where your power lies. What could you have done differently? How can you respond better right now? Making that shift from blame to personal responsibility is one of the most liberating things you can do. You go from being a passenger in your own life to being the driver, ready to navigate whatever the road throws at you. This is the practice of memento mori, a Latin phrase that means, remember you must die. Now, before you click away, this isn't about being morbid. It's an incredible tool for finding clarity. The philosopher Seneca said, let us prepare our minds as if we'd come to the very end of life. Let us postpone nothing. Thinking about our mortality doesn't have to be sad. It can be the ultimate wake-up call. It cuts right through the trivial nonsense that clutters our days. If today were your last, would you really waste it stewing over a rude comment or procrastinating on that project that actually means something to you? This question forces you to get real about what matters. It throws your priorities into sharp focus. Your relationships, your contributions, your values. You'd probably forgive a little faster. You'd love a little more openly. You'd act a lot more boldly. You don't have to live in a constant state of panic, but asking this every so often can shake you out of autopilot. It's a reminder to stop spending your most precious resource, your time, on things that just don't count. If these questions are already sparking some new thoughts, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button. We're always exploring practical wisdom for modern life, and I'd love for you to join the conversation. The Roman philosopher Seneca wrote a whole essay called On the Shortness of Life. His big point? Life isn't actually that short. We just waste a huge chunk of it. He famously said, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it." This question is a direct audit of your time, your one non-renewable resource. Let's be honest, we are masters of distraction. We scroll through feeds we don't care about, get sucked into celebrity drama, and wage wars in the comment sections. Seneca would see this and say, we're robbing ourselves of our own lives without even noticing. So, every once in a while, maybe at the end of the day or even right in the middle of an activity, just pause and ask, is this actually important? Is this getting me closer to my goals? Does this align with my values? Or am I just killing time? Learning to say no to the trivial is a modern-day superpower. When you get intentional about where you invest your time, you reclaim your life and dedicate it to the things that actually bring you meaning and fulfillment. Gratitude is a huge part of Stoic practice. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, "When you arise in the morning, think of what a privilege it is to be alive, to think, to enjoy, to love." This question is a powerful mental reset, shifting your focus from what's wrong with your life to what's right. Our brains are hardwired to scan for threats and problems. It's a survival thing. But in our comfortable modern world, that often just means we fixate on tiny annoyances while completely overlooking our blessings. The trick is to get specific. Don't just say, "I'm grateful for my family." Go deeper. "I'm grateful for that 5-minute inside joke I shared with my sister," or "I'm grateful for the way my friend really listened to me today." It can be as small as the taste of your morning coffee, the warmth of the sun, or the simple fact that you woke up. Even on the absolute worst days, there is something. In fact, the Stoics would challenge themselves to find gratitude in their struggles, seeing them as the perfect training ground for virtue. The Stoics aimed to live in accordance with nature. This wasn't just about hiking and loving the outdoors. It meant living in line with our uniquely human nature, our ability to use reason and act with purpose. This question is basically an integrity check-in. But first, you have to know what your values are. Are they honesty, kindness, personal growth, discipline? Take a minute to define them. Once you have your list, you can use this question as a yardstick to measure your daily actions. If you value honesty, did you tell the truth today, even when it was awkward? If you value discipline, did you follow through on what you said you would do? This question closes the gap between the person you say you want to be and the person your actions prove you are. Living out of sync with your values is a recipe for internal conflict and unhappiness. But living in alignment with them, that's a source of deep, unshakable self-respect. When you're facing a tough choice, or you're in the grip of a strong emotion, it's easy to get lost in the fog of anger, fear, or confusion. This question is a mental trick to help you find instant perspective. It asks you to step outside of your immediate, messy feelings and consult your inner sage, the best, calmest, most virtuous version of yourself. Picture that wiser you. They're rational, courageous, and fair. How would they look at this situation? How would they respond? Would they fire back with a sarcastic comment, or would they reply with patient understanding? Would they shrink in fear, or would they act with courage despite the fear? This isn't about faking it or pretending to be someone you're not. It's about tapping into the wisdom you already have inside you. By asking this question, you give yourself a crucial pause, a moment to choose a response that serves your long-term growth, not your short-term impulse. It's how you practice becoming that wiser person right here and now. This final question is designed to slice through the biggest obstacle that holds most of us back, the fear of failure. We don't start the business, we don't ask for the promotion, we don't have that vulnerable conversation, all because we're paralyzed by the what-ifs. By temporarily taking failure off the table, you get to see your true ambitions with crystal clarity. What project would you start? What path would you take? What bold action would you take right now? The point of this question isn't to live in a fantasy world where everything works out. The point is to identify the courageous action that fear is hiding from you. Once you see it clearly, then you can use your other Stoic tools, like the dichotomy of control and premeditating the worst case, to manage the very real possibility of things not going to plan. But first, you have to know what you truly want, free from the shadow of fear. This question shines a light on that path. So those are the 10 questions. They're simple, but they carry the weight of centuries of wisdom. They teach you to separate what you can control from what you can't. They prepare you for hardship, guide you to act with virtue, and force you to take responsibility. They remind you that your time is precious, that there is always something to be grateful for, and that you should live by your own values. They help you tap into your wiser self and act with courage. These aren't just one-and-done questions. They're a daily practice, a toolkit for your mind. By weaving them into your life, you start shifting your focus from the chaos outside to the order within. You build resilience, you find clarity, and you take back your power. You stop being someone who just reacts to the world and start becoming the person who is consciously building their own peace of mind. Which of these 10 questions hit home for you the most? Which one do you need to start asking yourself today? Let me know down in the comments. And if you're ready to keep building a more resilient life, make sure you like this video and subscribe for more practical wisdom. Thanks for watching.